One of the most fascinating stories out there is that of Frank Herbert's Dune universe. Some of you might be familiar with the Dune universe, and if you're not to fear because we're going to be talking about it in today's video, whilst at the same time being a part of the Dune universe by playing Dune Spice Wars, a game set on planet Arrakis, the place where the revolution of mankind happened and where the main storyline takes place. Now, if you don't know what Dune Spice Wars is, it is an RTS game that also combines grand strategy features, which we will be going through in this particular video. Massive thank you to Shuro Games for sponsoring today's video and for granting me early access. As some of you probably know, I am in fact a massive fan of the Dune universe, and it was really a pleasure to see all the changes that this particular game has seen in the past year. Dune Spice Wars was released into early access on the 26th of April 2022, and today, the 14th of September, it is finally out with a lot of new features that we're going to be explaining in this video, and then we're going to be having fun by playing them out ourselves. If you haven't already gotten Dune Spice Wars, you are missing out, and I strongly recommend you check out my link in the description and give the game a go, especially if you enjoy map games. The game combines both RTS features and grand strategy, so that's pretty much the main things you boys watch me for, aside from, you know, all the cringe accents I make half of the time. So I'm sure that you're absolutely gonna enjoy it. Now, of course, we have single player, multiplayer. Multiplayer, you can have up to 4 players in a lobby, and as you can see here, there's already people playing in the Asian region. As you know, I live in Japan, so of course I have my Asian region here. That being said, we do have North America, Europe, mainland China, and Asia as separate regions. It's fairly intuitive creating our very own lobby, but we're not going to be playing multiplayer today. Of course, we're going to be going towards the central feature, which is the single player campaigns. Now, there's 3 types of campaigns. We have the Battle of Arrakis, Conquest, which is the grand strategy part of the game, and Canley Duel, where you essentially go head to toe with the rivaling faction, 1v1 essentially. Let's click first on Battle for Arrakis because this is the main central focus and one of my favorite bits. Now, we do have here 6 factions. If we scroll over here, we have House Ekaz, recently added alongside House Corino. On launch, we only had House Atreides, Harkonnen, Smugglers, and Fremen, and then afterwards the other 2 amazing factions made their way into the game. Now, if you are familiar with the Dune universe, you know exactly what factions these are. If you're not familiar with them, a small crash course essentially. House Corino is the house which rules the Empire of Man right now. House Atreides essentially is one of the biggest contenders, and in the books themselves, the Atreides family or Atreides house eventually becomes the new ruling house. House Harkonnen is the main antagonist for House Atreides. The Fremen are the indigenous people living on the planet of Arrakis, where the setting is set. Now, House Ekaz is a little bit of a special house because in the books themselves, it's not mentioned as much what happened to House Ekaz, but it is known that they were an ally of House Atreides, and I think it would be really interesting to see how this plays out, both in the Dune Spice Wars game, as well as in maybe future movies or future books, since House Ekaz is mostly mentioned in the prequels. So because I've played as pretty much all of the 4 starting factions, I will be in this particular campaign going for House Corino. Every time you choose a faction, you do have separate bonuses, such as House Corino gets 1 extra building slot, 4 villages, can issue Imperial Edicts on Landsrat resolutions to switch their scope, as well as they have a debuff in the form of authority cost for annexing villages increased by 200% more by distance from Imperial base. We also have 2 separate bonuses at 5k and 10k of hegemony that we will be unlocking in the campaign, and as with every faction, we have 4 counselors from which we can choose 2 to grant us unique bonuses in our campaign to come. Now, we do have a difficulty scale assigned next to each advisor, so if we go for Hasimir Fenring, we get hard difficulty. Princess Irulan is tagged as easy, same goes for Captain Aram Sham. Of course, that is because of the bonuses or debuffs that these advisors offer us, so I'm gonna go for these 2 because I like a little bit of an easier start. Settings wise, we have a few things here we can choose, such as the map size, the amount amount of sandworms, a staple of the Dune universe by this point. I think everybody knows about the big giant sandworm that eats up your troops. The strength of storms in the campaign, local strength, spice contracts, and the types of victories, boys. We have domination, hegemony. Essentially, whenever we reach 30,000 hegemony, we win. Political, hold the chartered Dune governorship for 30 days to win. Economic is just hold 50% of the charm shares to win, or assassination. We also have the AI difficulty, which we can change up to insane. AI count as well, so the amount of other houses on the map, or factions on the map really, and we can also choose which factions we want to face ourselves against. So we could say go against the smugglers, House Harkonnen, and House Atreides. But now, seeing as conquest is available to us, not just the medium game of up to 4 factions, that is the battle for Arrakis, we will be gunning for complete supremacy of the northern hemisphere of Arrakis on the conquest map. So we're gonna start a new campaign. We're not gonna load our Atreides run. We do have 4 factions here. We cannot play as the smugglers or as the Fremen. Essentially, we have to play as one of the 4 main imperial households. We're gonna go as we said previously with the House Corino. The difference with conquest is that you get to choose for every single tile that you're fighting for different advisors. So let's choose our faction bonus first and foremost. We have 3 bonuses. We can go for rotating formations, reorganize conscripts into cheaper, more efficient squadrons, artillery, drone, and hammer required -1 command points. That's actually pretty good. Or every faction gains 30% of resource production. House Corino receives 10% of every other faction's Solari production. So we're gonna go for that because remember, we are the Padishah Emperor, so that means the other factions, whether they like it or not, have to give us their Solaris, right? As you can see on the map here, we have House Atreides on this stance and House Harkonnen, or actually I think this is Ekazi territory, isn't it? Yes, so we have Atreides and Ekazis over here, and we have to defeat both of them in order to win the conquest objective. Now this can last for up to 10 hours depending on how the game progresses. Once we attack a region, say we going for this region, we select our counselors and we start the fight for that particular region. Now going into each region, of course it is a full-on map that we have to conquer in order to control the region on the greater map. So it's essentially an Inception style map within map. We start with one of our ornithopters here, so we're going to be trying to rush for adjacent provinces. We have a few units here. We can conscript swordsmen, riflemen, incinerators, Sardaukar, which are unique units for the Emperor. These are the most loyal of soldiers, and they have been faithful to House Corino for many, many years. They are in fact considered the best fighters in the known universe, in the known Dune universe at least. And their bonus in game include Executioner, which means they execute enemies that have below 20% health and gain 5% executing health threshold upon killing an enemy for the rest of combat. They are a little bit pricier though. They cost an upkeep of 20 Solaris. That's quite a few Solaris. So we're gonna instead get a couple of riflemen first and a secondary ornithopter, and let's actually on pause so we can start playing out the campaign. We can of course pause, or we can accelerate 1.2, 1.5, 2, and that's pretty much it. 2 times the speed is actually the most likely speed at which you will be playing the campaign up until combat starts happening, in my opinion. Let's go ahead over here and try and conquer these provinces, or pacify these villages as I like to call it. Now take note guys, these are procedurally generated maps and there's hundreds of events to go alongside it, so the reality is that the game has insane replayability. Not a single one is going to be similar to your previous game because the map terrain is going to play into effect here, as well as the events that you might get, be it negative or positive events. You might run down a very different path in each of your games. All right, let's get a swordsman and another swordsman. Let's get 4 units. I feel like 4 units for now should be fine. And we're setting up auto recon for both of our ornithopters. This way we don't need to bother too much with micromanaging exploration. And the truth is that they do a really good job whenever you assign them to auto recon. They start by auto reconning the closest of villages, and then they work their way around. All right, we got our first village, so now we can start getting our developments done. We have 4 types of developments, and each of these grant us different buildings and bonuses in the campaign, such as the military base once we get the survival training done, plascrete production and building construction cost reduction if we go for solid materials, the ability to propose non-aggression pacts if no truce is active from absolute power, or investment offices and Corino village's neighboring imperial base get +2 water. Speaking of, first off, let's go for solid materials, and as I was saying, we do have different resources. First off, the Solaris, which is essentially the currency in this game. Plascrete is essentially the type of material used in most constructions. Manpower is pretty self-explanatory. It's the same like in EU4 or any other games that you've seen me play. And fuel cells are used to operate vehicles, as well as to power heavy industries. So this is a little bit more of a need for fuel cells in the later part of the campaign. Authority is used to capture villages. As you saw, we used, I think, like 20 something authority to capture Alda. Let's see how much we're going to use to capture this one here. And let's also bring our swordsman over here, because every time we attack one of these villages, we have to fight the locals in order to actually capture it. So let's go ahead and send our swordsman as well to fight over in Ubuabadewahu. I totally pronounced that perfectly, by the way, in case you're wondering. That is exactly how you pronounce that village. Now, this is going to cost us how much here? Let's see. We can pillage it for 306 Solaris, or we can annex it for 48, and that means we're down to 5 authority right now, but it's worth it because this village has minerals here, which is a unique resource that gives us +100 plascrete factory resource production. Same goes here. We have settled Hyrug. Essentially, we can get Fremen mercenaries. Does seem like we're doing pretty quick progress with exploring our surroundings. I haven't found the Fremen base yet, but I'm guessing they're going to be either in the northern bits or maybe to the side somewhere. We pretty much have nothing in the southern bits, so we have a good, easy to defend position since we cannot get surrounded from all sides, right? Now, whenever you have your units within the reach of villages or your main imperial base, they will start regenerating their health if they lost any health. So it's always a good idea to keep them around there whenever needed. Of course, right now, we don't need to. We just need to conquer. We are, after all, the Padishah Emperor, so we need to bring all of these lands within our control. Now, we can also build up some imperial buildings. We have 3 types of buildings. We can do the administrative hall that offers Solari production in villages and 30% authority production as well. That is actually pretty good. Recruitment center offers more manpower and max manpower, or research center offers more knowledge and hegemony gain. I really love the research center, but I kind of want the Solari for now since I want to get rich. I mean, dirty rich right now. Now, switching over to our first captured village, we can build a few buildings. As you know, we have the bonus as House Corino, that we can have an extra slot from the start. We don't need to pay extra plascreen for the 3rd slot. So we can build economic buildings, military or statecraft buildings that offer knowledge, intel production, or resource production. The military one can also offer manpower or defenses for this particular village, alongside with the militia, which we can also get different types of regular militia, range militia, demolition, and heavy militia. Take note, they do cost manpower, but they do not have an upkeep, so it is highly recommended that you get your militia established in your villages as soon as you've captured said villages. I'm just going to focus first and foremost on Solaris and plascrete production in these 2 areas. The 3rd area right here that I'm going to capture also has a bonus for energy sources, allows for the construction of fuel cell factories and Fremen ceremonial caves. So that's pretty good because fuel cells are going to be vital in the later bit of the campaign, as I was saying earlier. A little bit of fun fact about House Corino is that it gets its name from the Battle of Corin, which happened in 88 BG, essentially 10,200 something years before this particular part of the campaign. After the Battle of Corin, House Corino established the Corino Imperium and took its name from that particular battle, which led to it becoming the ultimate power in the universe. Imagine a single imperial family holding power for 10,000 years. That is just mind-blowing. That's more than our entire written history as it is right now. It's also one of the reasons why I really adore the lore of the Dune universe. It's just so vast and it's so awesome. It's actually unbelievably good. If you haven't yet read the books also, I highly recommend you do that. It's just amazing, man. The amount of stuff that just seems extremely innovative and at the same time plausible in a futuristic setting is just really good. All right, now we have our first agent. We can do a few things with our agent here, Mr. Arn. We can set him up as a merchant, which means he's going to increase the global double production of Solaris by 0.5 per information level, or we can assign them to Arrakis, Spacing Guild, Choam, or Landsrat, and we get different bonuses from each of these assignments here. Now I'm actually going to do this because we need a little bit more authority, so we went from +4 to +5 authority now because of the agent assigned to Arrakis itself. And we got our first constructions done too. Time to do the second constructions now. Oh, we get military development if we choose to extract the ship data from this crashed spaceship over here. So maybe our second agent's going to be a little bit more in tune with checking out crashed spaceships. So also go ahead and get that knowledge that we were talking about earlier. We want to be as knowledgeable as possible. Now in 5 days we're going to get our first voting for the Landsrad. So essentially here we have a few issues at hand: labor rights, tax negotiations, and trial for the great houses. We can support or decline these, and we can also vote for various factions to get certain bonuses or malices. So whenever you see something here that's really bad, vote for your enemies to get that particular thing. This is the amount of votes that we have right now and the amount of influence that we have. So we can use some of these votes to give ourselves, you know what, I'm going to give 100% minus 50% Solari upkeep to myself, because I think that's just the best option right there. Oh, House Atreides wants to, they want to offer me 850 Solaris for Plascrete, influence, and intel. Yeah. You know what? Yeah, okay, I'll take it. You know why I'm taking it? Because if we go over to our armory, we can actually give specific upgrades to each of our units, and these upgrades cost Solaris, 500 Solaris here for the first upgrade. So we can go to our riflemen and we can say increase the power they've got, but this is going to lower the attack range, or there's a lot of different bonuses here. Each bonus does have its own malice, so keep that in mind whenever you do your upgrade. Think that 2% power for each ally conscript nearby is really not bad, because I'm going to have quite a few conscripts together with riflemen in most of my army groups. Speaking of, let's get some more conscripts and riflemen in my main army group. And we also have enough authority now to capture this particular village in Arkma. Now, we are basically winning right now. We have 4,400 hegemony. If we reach 30,000, we will win this particular campaign here. Well, this particular map, really. We have discovered an ornithopter of House Ekaz, so the fight is basically really on right now. I'm guessing that House Atreides is going to be on the other side of the map in that case. The great part is that most of these rugged areas here are not deserts, so we don't need to worry about the sandworms eating up our troops. However, if these were deserts, we would lose a lot of troops here due to sandworms eating them. So, gotta be careful. Honestly, the best thing to do in that particular case is just build airfields and then just transfer troops via airfield from one village to another, so we don't actually have to walk across the deserts. And it seems like we lost to House Atreides. House Ekaz voted for them? Or what happened here? Well, at least we got every used command point increases Solari upkeep of military units by 1%. Okay, I'm not sure that actually is a good thing. That's probably not a good... I really probably shouldn't have supported that, should I? Should have definitely read it before I supported it, that's for sure. Another day, another village getting attacked by House Corino, as it should be. Let's make sure we don't lose too many of our boys here. We got those extra bonuses, remember that. But hey, look at that. 130 authority to get this. The price has increased a lot. We've got some rare elements in that particular province there. And we also have access to the Chom market. We've got our share distribution here with the different bonuses. We can buy shares, sell shares, buy max, sell all. Right now we got 179 out of 1,000 shares of Choam. So we're not doing too shabby, boys. We're really not doing shabby at all. Because we were losing quite a little bit of money, we're switching our filter here and we're basically selling most of our intel, which in turn means we're getting Solaris for that, but we're not stockpiling the intel. So there's pros and cons. We do need the Solaris because we built a lot of buildings that have pretty high upkeep. Hey, on the bright side, we got a secondary agent. So let's see. More authority, manpower, Solaris, or influence. You know what? I'm going to put this one over to Solaris since we are struggling with Solaris, as I was saying earlier. This way we can stockpile at least 3 intel and still gain 10 Solari from the agent. You know what? I'm actually going to pillage this here and I'm going to be attacking Karas after, who apparently also has some raiders heading towards us. Okay, well, Mr. Raider over there is going to have to face my massive army. and I don't think they're going to be happy about it. One major thing that I really like about Shura Games, the developer of Dune Spice Wars, is that a lot of the community feedback was actually implemented, and a lot of the features in the campaign are a direct result of community feedback and community suggestions that managed to make their way in the game, right? And it looks like House Atreides already managed to take care of Ad Aldak, and they've got 3 militia units in there as well. Speaking of, let me actually recruit some more units in my villages. This one has no units for that matter. So let's get 2 and 3 with the demolition. Trade request: 1,200 Solaris for 600 plasteel, and actually, that's actually a pretty good deal. I'm gonna go for that. Now, I'm also going to get better protection for my conscripts. The higher the health pool that they have, the less likely they're gonna be perishing in battle, right? Let's also get our brand new village here. One thing I like is that it's really realistic. You actually lose manpower whenever you're regenerating your units, kind of like in EU4, where recovering your units to max strength requires that specific amount of manpower that was lost during combat. Ooh, this is a really good Imperial Edict. I'm gonna go for Landsrat Guard, and I don't have the influence. What? How do I not have the influence, bro? On the bright side, though, we did discover a siege of the Fremen, so we can either trade with them, trade 4 water for 4 Plascreed, or if we assign an emissary here, which will increase relations with them, we can get 2% total resource production per controlled special region. So that's actually pretty good. Or we could just attack them if we wanted to, but we're not going to attack them. We don't want to lose half of our army, do we now? Our agent finished her job in the Marauder camp, and that just gave us 24 manpower. All those marauders decided to fight for the Emperor and not just continue to be on marauding around here, you know? A new Landsrat is here too, so I'm not sure which one to go for. 50% building construction cost and slot cost is a massive deal if you ask me. I think I'm gonna mostly focus on this, even though my influence is gonna go towards it for now. Oh, the resolution is here, boys. And we just got 3 Landsrat Guard. These bad boys here get 50% less damage received inside owner's borders. So as long as we fight within our borders with these units, we have nothing to fear. Look how awesome they look as well. I really love the sprite for these units here. It would be awesome if we got also some Sardaukar to go alongside it. So let's recruit 1 Sardaukar unit too. We can have our Landsrat and Sardaukar as our secondary army until the end of this resolution at least. Speaking of Chad sprites, check out the Sardaukar too with their massive swords. Alright, these boys can be assigned over to the northern bits. Actually to the eastern bits, because we're going to be capturing Zata as well next. So let's go ahead and ask him to attack Zata. We also detected a sandstorm in the northern bits apparently, and we're gonna stay away from it, of course. We're gonna be building the intelligence agency that offers +2 additional operative slots. Operatives are one of the most important things in the game, and having 2 extra is an absolute massive deal. Really gives a lot of sway to the fact that House Carino is the basically real emperor here. I also shouldn't be capturing these guys. I'm just gonna pillage them again, second time. Really don't like that village for some reason apparently. And let's go back now. Looks like the big storm managed to make its way all the way to our Imperial base. That's not Gucci. I'm not even seeing the Imperial base because of the storm. Come on. I need to scroll out in order to see it apparently. I also have to say I absolutely adore the unique buildings here, such as the military factory that offers 15% military unit power and health, but can only be built once per faction. Same for the research station and the experimental furnace, out of which in my opinion the experimental furnace is by far the most important, especially in the early bit of the campaign. Now I'm gonna save this up because it will take a while for me to finish this, and I don't think we can make a 10 hours video out of it. I do want to show you though that there are tutorials here. We have 5 separate tutorials for the time being with the basic controls, exploration, siege and expansion, spice harvesting, and supply in water. Now I really encourage you, if you do get the game, using my link in the description, to get these tutorials done first before you start your proper campaign, because they do explain extremely well everything you need to know about the game. And also keep in mind that every faction plays a little bit different, so playing as the Atreides, Harkonnens, or Ekaz, your main concern is going to have to be mining that spice and shipping it off to the Emperor. But as the House Carino, as you guys noticed, we didn't really need to worry about spice. We needed to worry about intel because the other houses were the ones in charge of giving us spices since, you know, we're the Emperor. So there are some distinctions between the factions that you play as, which makes the game a lot more replayable as well and extremely enjoyable. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun playing this game, and I highly encourage you to check it out for yourself using the links in the description. And until the next time, check out this awesome France run, boys. And I want to give a massive thank you to all of my patrons, channel members, and Twitch subscribers. I would not be able to do this without all your support.